There we go. Okay. So my disclosures are this clinical trial was supported by Galderma. And so I do a lot of scar work, and I do laser-assisted delivery with either the CO2 or the erbium, and this is with PLLA, polylactic acid, and it's like a miracle. So, David Ozog and I published on this in 2009, and we showed with one treatment, all of these patients are one treatment. It's amazing. Another observation that was a passive observation with PLLA with the laser was you can see a lot of these have hypopigmentation, and again, with one treatment, the pigment came back. So I think one of the calls, and we've heard it this session, is we must understand what we're doing when we're treating patients, and we need to understand at a molecular level the cellular tissue pathways and have biomarkers, and not only understand the pathology, but also when we do an outcome like a laser or PLLA, what intervention did we have on the biomarkers? So at this study, we looked at the gene pathways that are stimulated when we inject either calcium hydroxyapatite or polylactic acid. These are both considered devices. And his background, and I don't need to tell this crowd, extracellular matrix is the structural network of building blocks. Both calcium hydroxyapatite, CAHA, and PLLA are considered collagen biostimulators, and we're going to talk about that. So there's two ways you can stimulate collagen. There's an inflammatory pathway and there's a regenerative pathway. They both get the same thing done, but they affect other pathways along. So in this study, we kept it on label. We injected, we used the nasolabial folds. We took a pre-op biopsy, and that same day we did a treatment on the same patient with both nasolabial folds, either PLLA or CAHA. Then we waited 4 weeks. We had 3D photography. We did a second treatment. And then at the end of 90 days, we did another biopsy with three-dimensional photography. The demographics were, the mean age was 46. Females were 17. Males were 40. Latin, I'm in Miami, was 14. Caucasian was 7. We had skin types 1 through 4, and they had moderate to severe wrinkles. The average amount of biostimulator was 4 for the PLLA, and CAHA was 2.88, so 3 to 4. For the gene analysis, we did an RNA was isolated from the biopsies, qPCR were run, and then we looked at string analysis. So the genes, we picked over 107 genes looking at anti-aging, extracellular matrix, and then I picked 10 additional genes looking at things like pigment pathway. And the importance of the string analysis is that once you get the genes that are turned on, you need to look at pathways that might be stimulated. So here's some 3D images showing what we would expect, that we had a good filling, changing from baseline to 3 months, again, another patient. So here's the punchline. When we looked at the results, the PLLA stimulated a lot more of regenerative genes versus the CAHA, which stimulated a lot more inflammatory genes. This is very relevant because we don't always want to have inflammation because that can lead to fibrosis. The PLLA formed a lot of tropoelastin, and another one is we saw on the string analysis is the DKK pathway is a pigment pathway. So this could tell us that the PLLA was very regenerative, and we're writing a paper now. The reactitome here was not collagen, it was fat. So we think this is a biostimulator of collagen, but really fat, the stem cells, the progenitor cells of stem cells were what were creating the reaction and then stimulating the fibroblasts and stimulating all the epidermal. So for CAHA, we saw a much more inflammatory pathway of MM9s, interferons, and still had collagen stimulation, but not probably the pathway that we want to. So in summary, the gene ontology suggested very unique processes for PLLA and CAHA, and really much more pro-inflammatory versus regenerative, and again, the reactome was fat. So I think it's important to know what we're doing when we are treating our patients. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill.